So the most wealthy country in the world right now is the United States of America. You agree with that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
And would you agree that the exploitation of slavery is what generated the possibility for them to become the most wealthy nation in the world? You agree with that, right?
I think it contributed. I wouldn't say it's the predominant
Contributed? Would you
cause.
ex, you're going to tell me the insane expansion on this very brand new country that
World
was
War II is the main reason that we're the most powerful.
we
It
weren't
was our
wait, hold on. Are you not saying that we weren't already like literally one of the we've had
we
no,
were
no, not one
among
of, not
the
one of, not one of, not one of. We were the most powerful nation prior to World War II, were we not?
we were not.
Yes, we were. According to GDP, since like 1919, which is when GDP first came into play, since that time we've had the highest gross domestic product of any other country in the world from then until now. So we already were the most powerful country by then. If you're not going to use GDP, what other metric would you use?
To measure wealth.
Yeah, of a nation.
I think GDP is a fine measure.
Okay, so then if that's the measure that you're willing to use, then that means that prior to World War II, the United States of America was the wealthiest nation in the country. So since that's the truth, then that means then we can't be attributing that success to slavery. I mean to World War II, and it does seem like we were able to generate a large portion of this wealth as a nation through slavery. Obviously, any economist will tell you how largely slavery contributed towards the growth of the country, obviously. So then I don't know how you would be able to argue
Okay.
anything else.
I mean, I don't mind accepting that premise. I think yeah, slavery certainly contributed.
Was probably
If
the
you believe
largest
it's
contributor, or else you have to point out to something else other than slavery that largely contributed to
well,
the
sure.
success of
I
this
mean,
country, which I don't think you can identify anything that was a larger contributor than slavery. Can you?
well, you rejected my premise, but as I said, like my understanding is that during World War II we entered very late, and before we did enter, we were conducting like an insane amount of trade, and we built up our trade block, and then like the the damage to these other major nations, UK, Germany, etc., uh, kind of just propelled us to the point of being the world leader in that respect.
I only rejected your premise because it was unsound and unfounded, and I pointed out to you that again, GDP came into play prior to World War II, and ever since GDP became the system that we've used, the United States has always been at the highest. And since you conceded that GDP is a perfectly fine metric to measure the wealth of a nation, and since if that's what you agree to, then you understand that since its inception, that United States has had the highest GDP, and since that's a perfectly fine metric, then we can say since the inception of the GDP, the United States has been the most powerful country in the world. And you agree to all of those things. So then that means then to try to then say, no, 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 no. We're going to look at World War II, which was after GDP came into play, after the United States already had the highest GDP. It seems like that would be a little bit unfounded. Do you not agree with that? Which part of that do you think is wrong?
I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong. I just, like I said, my perspective was different,
Your
and
perspective,
I may be wrong.
but I educated you on how your
Sure.
perspective is unfounded, considering since you agree that GDP is the best metric, and since GDP has came into play, United States has been the most powerful country.
Sure, sure. Yeah, if that's the case, then that would be correct.
Right. So then that means it predates
Certainly.
slavery. I mean, it predates the World War II. And if it predates the World War II, I would need you to point out to another thing that has created such an insane amount of wealth. To me, it seems like it's an obvious question, and to most economists, it seems like obviously slavery largely contributed towards this country.
Yeah, I don't mind accepting that.
So then, if you do accept that, then to then say that these powerful nations that have been built off of something as disgusting and immoral as slavery, to then use that to say that we should be preserving white culture,
Well,
which was built on something so disgusting, sounds a little bit ridiculous to
France,
me.
Germany, Sweden, were those countries built on slavery?
I'm pretty sure slavery existed in all of them.
Were they built on slavery?
You know what? I don't know enough about those countries and their history to be
Well,
able
of
to
course.
make that argument. So I won't make that argument. Or else I'd be as foolish as saying something like World War II created the wealth in those countries when I have no idea what I'm talking about whatsoever. I wouldn't extend myself that far without knowing anything.